Welcome to QDL. QDL is your look at who and what is making news in the world of quality. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest. I think it's pretty safe to say that work from home is really here to stay, and I mean at the kind of levels that we saw during the pandemic. That's not going to go away too much. And it's not just a perk that employers might offer, but it's becoming a requirement that many employees are demanding. According to several recent surveys, between 30% and 50% of employees surveyed said they would leave their jobs if they could not work remotely. Even at the low end of that number, that's a pretty astounding statistic, right? So even reluctant employers are at least considering some sort of hybrid work from home for their workforce. But what is this going to look like? Even if employees want a remote or hybrid work experience, are they or their employers really prepared for it? Joining us today is Mike Morini, CEO of WorkForce Software, a global provider of workforce management solutions with integrated employee experience capabilities. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dirk, thanks for having me. Happy to be here with you.
Hey, great. So what are some of the problems being faced by employers as people return to work?
Yeah, I think people all want normal, but normal is not the normal of the pre-COVID world, right?
Yeah, that
so I think the challenge, are consistent with what you said in your introduction. The employees are not going to embrace the demand to get back to work full time in offices. It's just a change. It's a change that's not going away no matter what we do. And I think what's happened because of COVID is those geographic restrictions that used to be out there, where you only hired people near your headquarters because you wanted them in the office, those are gone. And we're seeing it coming at our company that way, where Silicon Valley now wants Michigan developers, right? And so I think that's not going to change. I think what happened with distancing and work from home, you had an attitudinal change as well. And so employees now want to feel appreciated. They want to feel engaged. They want to know the company is doing things to keep their best interest at heart as well as working, because the playing field has opened, right? We've always been a company where we wanted to hire the best athlete no matter where you are. I think that's becoming rampant throughout the industry right now. They know there's going to be a blend, and businesses need to do something about it to find a better way to engage with their employees, make them feel appreciated, make them feel up to date, and making sure that the company can stay engaged with them to understand, hey, how are you really doing in this work from home environment?
And how are companies going to do that? What tools are available to them to, I don't know, to better manage, to better oversee, to do all these things you just talked about, make their employees feel wanted when they can't really even see their employees?
Yeah, it's about that employee experience side. I think, there have been studies out there that show that less than 1% of the corporate technology investment was made towards finding a way to better engage with their employees. Well, you're going to see a big pivot towards that today. They've got to put tools in place that allows them to understand, hey, how is the employee doing? What's going on? Are they doing well? Things like micro surveys. Very simple. I mean, we have a system today where our real-time engine allows a manager to do a quick survey to one of their employees. Hey, how'd the shift go today? Or how did that go? And in the moment, you're getting feedback and you're getting data so that you can make sure that you're making good decisions for your employees. So technology certainly is a foundation that will help them do that, and things that companies have to make a move on if they're going to want to stay competitive in keeping productive, happy, competent employees as we move forward with this new hybrid model.
Now, is that you mentioned something that it kind of caught my ear there a little bit. Employee surveys, and I just translated that being in contact with your employees on a regular basis, and it seems to me that's actually easier now than when you were in the office. When you're in the office, you might have to go around to each desk. Hey, how's it going? Which was very personal, but also time-consuming. And it seems to me that remotely, even though it's not as personal, it is possible to touch many employees and interact with them on a daily basis much more efficiently than you could have maybe even in the office. Would you agree with that?
I think you certainly can. And I think all of the Teams meetings and Zoom meetings that we've all done with our cameras on have been a great way to stay engaged, but you still miss that personal touch, right? We
Yeah.
all miss it. That's why I think the hybrid piece will be there. But the other thing we're running into now that we're 18, 20 months into this, is you do have a bit of the Zoom fatigue, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves to be engaged, but they're just not getting that feeling out of it. So while I believe that the work from home paradigm will never go away, I do think a blended model may be a model that gives everybody the most efficient way to do it. So they not only can stay in touch when they're remote, but you do get that personal touch of sitting down around a boardroom table or passing by the coffee machine in the kitchen, right, where you can have that engaging thing. And I think right now, candidly, people are a bit desperate for that type of interaction, right?
Yeah.
It's been so long since we've really had it. And while we're starting to trickle in little by little, I think with the new variants that are out there, we're going to have to find a way to stay better engaged. And it does have to do with those tools, right?
Right.
Providing the employees consumer grade tools from a business perspective that allows them to stay engaged on whether they're changing their schedules or signing up for time off or just getting feedback on how the project's going or the company strategy. You need those tools that are very easy to use and more consumer-like than the old business tools. And that's where we see the market heading.
Yeah. I know one concern managers have is how to manage employees. I mean, some managers are very uncomfortable, and I've talked to a few, with literally not being able to look over the shoulder of an employees, right? They can't come up behind and take a look at their work or what they're working on, or are they even working? That seems to be a big concern. Are you even working? How do you address that situation? I mean, how do managers begin to feel comfortable with just trusting that their employees are doing what they've been assigned to do?
Dirk, I think you hit it right on the head, which is a matter of trust, right? COVID and the big pivot to full-time work from home, the employers that trusted their people, gave them the flexibility to do what they needed to do, I think got rewarded for it. I know for us, I think with the work from home paradigm, people are actually working longer hours. I mean, you'll be able to see it right away if you have a disruption to your service that you deliver or your business productivity. And what we found, because we're in this space where we're helping employees during this time, is we've seen a mass gravitation towards what we do. Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah,
we've seen a mass gravitation towards what we do, and therefore our employees had to stay productive. And we saw it. We didn't see any disruption in the quality of the service we delivered. But I think employers have to modernize. I think they have to modernize the way they think. I've always been one. Let's hire the best athlete for the job, no matter where they are, and know that they have a responsibility. And monitoring software is certainly out there, but we've gone the complete opposite on that. We've gone to you have unlimited PTO as long as you're getting your job done. We've gone to, particularly during COVID, where we've said to the employees, look, you now have kids at home all day long. You may have elderly parents you're worried about. If you need an hour or two to step away from your laptop in the middle of the day to go do it, we trust that you're going to come back and finish what you do. Now, listen, if you're in a critical customer situation that we're dealing with, nobody would walk away, even with a screaming child. But I think you have to trust them. I think there certainly are areas where you need to monitor more closely. We handle a lot of the nuclear power plants, and so we have a fatigue management solution where we do monitor how much time are you on and how much time are you off, because you need to know that they're refreshed and they're capable of handling a critical situation if there's some kind of catastrophe at a facility like that. But I think the folks that are trying to put more monitoring in place for today's employees, you're going to have a problem, because there's now flexibility in the workplace, right? You gave the stat early on, Dirk, that up to 50% of the people are considering looking for other jobs if they're not given the flexibility to stay work from home. That's real. We're seeing that in across our customer base and across our industry, the technology industry today. So, people have to stay on top of it. They do have to learn to trust their employees. And I think the proof is in the pudding. Are they delivering the body of work that you expect them to do at the quality you expect to keep moving? And I know for us, we've been really proud of our company. We've continued to accelerate even from work from home, but many of our employees were set up to do that as a technology company.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, if I can ask, what percentage of WorkForce software employees work from home, do you think?
Yeah, I think pre-COVID, our engineers and our support people, the people that develop our product and the people that support our customers, they were all in the office.
Okay.
So that's more than half of our company.
Okay.
You know, our salespeople, our delivery people, our people that handle showing the product out there, most of those folks were remote anyway. So very quickly when COVID hit, we had to pivot. We had to get into our office and kind of pillage the office of all the screens and everything and
Right.
ship them to everybody's house,
Yeah.
right? So we could stand up our support group and our development group, and we didn't miss a beat. And that's probably, you know, of our 700 employees, that's probably 450 of our 700 employees. If I was to swag it, we moved it very, very quickly to that. And it probably took us a week to get stable there and people to get used to it. And I think what you're finding and what we're finding is people are actually working longer hours, not less. Yeah. And we have to encourage them to take time.
You know, that actually brings up a good point. You know, I've heard that there's some evidence that employees, while they like working from home, they may be working more hours than usual. I mean, and you can kind of see why. You're already sitting at your desk, you know, it's 5 o'clock or whatever, but you still got this project. If you're in the office, you might say, okay, I'm going home, but hey, I'm sitting at my desk, I got my cup of coffee here, my baby's in bed, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep working. So what kind of concern should that be, and how do employers address the whole work-life balance thing?
Yeah, I think it's a very legitimate concern, and the psychological well-being of your employees is now, you know, more to the forefront than it's ever been in the workplace. It has to be because of the trauma. You know, we were dealing with life and death situations in people's homes for the last 18 months, right? Yeah. So you have to do it. I think there's a bunch of things that people can do. Number one, I think adopting technologies and the tools so the employees feel engaged and helped and facilitated in what they're doing, you know, is really critical. We talk about the fatigue management system we have. We talk about the ability to deliver micro training or micro surveys, things on their phone, something that they can use in a consumer grade to help them feel like my employer still cares about me. They're still nurturing. They're still helping me grow, even though I'm remote. I definitely think there's.
What's a fatigue management system?
Fatigue is the one where you can monitor the employees that I mentioned briefly about nuclear power plants or transportation, where if they're on the road or working too many hours, that'll raise a flag. I think the micro survey stuff is even critical because it can say you've been putting in long shifts. We see, you know, the hours you're logged in. Are you doing okay? Do you need some help? And you can get feedback on that survey very quickly. And you feed it to the manager, and the manager can take some action quickly, whether it's shooting them a delivery of a dozen donuts to say, hey, thanks for hustling, you know, give these to your kids, or, you know, maybe they don't want the sugar buzz for the kids when they're all at home, but there's little things that you can do in terms of acknowledging the work that's done. I think the other thing you do is perks, like something like that, and we've done that a lot, whether it's offering coaching, whether it's unlimited vacation. Well, there wasn't much to do for vacation, we offered it. We did group meditation. We did a little thing like story time. So where I started off reading a Dr. Seuss book, hey, if you want to plug your kids in front of the monitor for 30 minutes and go get a cup of coffee, our executives would read and engage that way. We always had a wellness program, Dirk, right? Yeah. So we would pay for their gym, but with the pivot from home, what we offered to do was take the annual fee for the gym and let them go buy a piece of equipment and get it delivered to their home. So as we were locked down at home, they could still stay physically fit. Because I think the mental activity and the mental well-being has a lot to do with your physical activity and physical well-being. So we put in little perks like that just would encourage them to do it. We did a lot of community things. So we do little mini fundraisers, or we do Zoom cocktail hours at the end of the day to try to keep them engaged. But you had to take a step where you showed your employees you cared, put your family first, put work second. Yes, you have a job to do, but we're worried about the mental and physical well-being of you and your families. And I think the last piece, which could be counterintuitive to some leaders, is you have to encourage the people to take some time off. Yeah. You know, I told you we supported, look, if you got to step away for 2 hours in the afternoon, but I also supported, look, if you just need a mental health Friday, take it. Go do it. Yeah. I mean, you know, this fatigue is weighing on everybody in many different ways. but everybody's got burnout. It's a bit of, I don't know about for you, but for me, sometimes it's Groundhog Day. You wake up and I'm doing the same thing again today.
Right.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have a small office for my wife's
Yeah.
company, which is near our home. That it's limited, so we could come in. I could get out and come in every day, right, and just use a conference room without any exposure. But for many folks around the globe that we have that are stuck in small apartments in the city or what maybe, I mean, it's just got to be emotionally exhausting. So you really have to encourage your people to take that time away, because I believe they come back refreshed, reinvigorated, and get really excited about what they're doing again. So again, it comes down to that humanity aspect, right? I think, what COVID has introduced, hopefully for many leaders, is that when your child used to disrupt a Zoom meeting or your dog would bark, people used to get upset. Now they don't. It's part of life, right?
Well,
so if we
it makes it real too.
It
makes
does.
things
so
real.
If we could take anything out of this catastrophe that we lived through, is let's introduce the humanity into this thing, and let's understand that we know people are working hard and trying hard, but they have to balance some of life's disruptions right now. And I think the businesses that are going to thrive, as we come out of this, are the ones that are going to embrace that work-life balance. And I really don't think that people come to work trying to cheat you out of hours. You have to trust them. There's going to be a small percentage, I'm sure, that will burn all of us. But we've been so proud of our company and our employees on how they've jumped in with both feet and rode through this with us, and that's why we haven't had the business disruption that many have had.
Well, and I think this will be the last question here. I'll let you go. But based on what you just said, and a couple earlier things when we were talking about monitoring hours and all that sort of stuff, do you think the last year and a half has forced us to reevaluate what work actually is? I mean, is it hours? Or is it output? And if it's output, then that basically means that your employees, if they're getting a little burned out, I'm up to here today and it's only noon. I'm going to take the rest of the day off because I know I can get my work done tomorrow. If they're not having to clock in hours, but are more concerned about just making sure the job gets done, do you think maybe that's where this whole thing is forcing us to really look at?
I think so. I think for me, it's if the employees are focused, they're getting their work done, that's helping us to continue to deliver great success to our customers and quality of work in what we do, I'm less concerned with what hours they're putting in. I think the 9-to-5 world, with some exceptions, right? The manufacturing world, where you're building widgets for whatever you're doing, you got to go. But the traditional professional world, I think the game has completely changed. And if your employees don't feel like you trust them, you have their backs, and you're giving them an opportunity to succeed in an environment that they need to balance work life, I think you're going to lose them. I think the thing that's rapidly clear as we look at the market is that the barriers to changing your job are gone. Those walls are long gone, and you're seeing a lot of people, and you saw it in your stats, and we're seeing in ours that people are not hesitating to make a change. And if you were in Ohio and you were a developer getting paid Ohio rates, and Silicon Valley knocks on your door now and says you can work from your bedroom in Ohio, I'll pay you Silicon Valley rates,
Sweet,
which could be 30, 40, 50% higher, you're going to jump at it, right? So you need to build that loyalty. And if they don't feel appreciated, engaged, particularly with the three generations, the Gen Ys, the Millennials, and the Gen Zs that are out there today, right? There's 5 generations of the workforce. Those folks that are very engaged and not just doing, they're doing things for a feeling and want to be part of it and want to be heard. You've got to find a way to balance that. And I think that's forever changed because of COVID.
Okay, well, Mike Morini, CEO of WorkForce Software, thanks for talking with us today. I really appreciate it. That was fun.
I appreciate you having me. Hopefully we were able to give some insight on what we're seeing, and wish you and yours the best.
Thanks. And there is a link underneath the player page down there to WorkForce Software, so you can go out and take a look at what they're doing. Thanks again to all of you for joining us today for QDL. As usual, if you have any questions, Or if you have people or topics that you would like us to bring onto the show, just let us know. Send them to us at qdl@qualitydigest.com, and we will do our best to make that happen. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you at the next QDL. So long.